Hello, everyone, and thank you for participating in the Lytham Partners 2022 Summer Investor Conference. My name is Joe Diaz. I'm a managing partner at Lytham Partners. Today, we welcome ImmuCell Corporation, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker ICCC. We'll be engaging today with Michael Brigham, CEO of ImmuCell, and a number of his sales team members in a discussion to give you a sense of the traction and the momentum they're generating on their flagship First Defense product and their revolutionary Retain product, which is in the final stages of the FDA approval process. And it's been developed to address the $2 billion annual loss experienced by U.S. dairy producers due to mastitis. Before we begin, Lytham Partners is one of the country's leading investor relations firms with more than 2 decades of corporate access experience. We've built one of the industry's most diverse and effective platforms for connecting small cap companies with high quality and focused institutional investors. We thank all of you for being here today. One final item before we begin. As a reminder, Michael will be available for one-on-one meetings later this week. If you have not already signed up, please visit the Lytham Partners website at lythampartners.com/virtual and click the one-on-one meeting request button. With that said, let me begin the conversation by introducing Michael Brigham, CEO of ImmuCell Corporation. Michael.
Great. Hey, thank you, Joe. I appreciate the opportunity for us to talk about some of the exciting activities going on at ImmuCell at this time. You know, when we break down our activities to the simplest level, we are working on 3 major priorities. Number 1, continue to increase our production capacity for the First Defense product line to come off backlog and continue growing sales. 2, achieve FDA approval of Retain. And 3, execute the commercial launch plan of Retain with our annual production capacity of about $10 million. So now, let me now introduce Joe Brockman. She's our Vice President of Sales and Marketing. She is the tip of the spear in getting our products into the market, and she will introduce 3 other members of our sales team for today's discussion.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael, for that introduction, and Joe for the opportunity here. What we accomplish is really important, but who we accomplish it with is what makes it fun. And I'm really happy to have 3 people from my team on today. I'll start with Dr. Rafael Lichty. Rafael, give us all a thumbs up. Okay. So Rafael he's got his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, and he leads our commercial research and tech service initiatives. Another doctor, Dr. Mark Wustenberg. Mark, give everybody a wave so they know who you are. So Mark is also a DVM and comes to us with extensive milk quality experience. So he will be championing the research and communication efforts that really bridge the value of Retain, the new mastitis product we're working on, from producer to processor. And then the other lovely lady on this call, Miss Kathy Becker, she is our Director of Marketing. She has been my right hand for about the last 6 years. Yesterday was her 6-year anniversary with the company. Incredibly creative lady who really drives home marketing strategy that aligns sales and marketing. So we're all pulling on the rope in the right direction. So there's a number of folks on my staff that are not on this call, and they're actually working really hard in the field today. Our field staff, there's 8 sales and marketing professionals out in the field meeting with producers each day. So that would encompass my commercial team, Joe.
Fantastic, Bobby. Let's get the ball rolling here. You've been with the company for 12 years or thereabouts, and during that time, revenues have grown from about $4 million annually to nearly $20 million. What do you attribute that success to?
Well, first, and I know I've said this in a past investor relations call, but we have a product that really works and is very unique. Okay, so we're not like a lot of my colleagues in the industry or friends in the industry who are having to sell a lot of Me Too products and split hairs and how they differentiate those products in the marketplace. We've got something truly unique. We are the only manufacturer of polyclonal antibodies for scour prevention. And so the product works and it's unique, right? We have made an investment to expand our sales and marketing reach, and that has paid off. The more people you talk to, the more compelling your message is, the more product you're going to sell, right? And so a lot of that success is attributed to that strategic decision to invest and put more marketing muscle behind a really great product. So,
yeah. With regards to the First Defense line, what's going on there? Talk to me about the progress that's being made.
Yeah, so I get really charged up about the First Defense line because we've had some tremendous success. I'm probably equally charged up about the opportunity that's out there ahead of us to get yet. There's a lot of the pie that we haven't been able to get our way, and we're working on doing that. Our recent production expansion is going to allow us to do that because we'll have more supplies to bring on more products or more customers. I'll say this, we've got roughly 40% of the calf level market, right? So calf level scour preventatives, these would be products given to the newborn calf to prevent scours. We've got 40% of that market, but there's double that size out there on what we call the dam level competitors. And those would be products that you give to the cow ahead of calving to actually protect that newborn. So there's a lot of market opportunity yet to get. And with the expanded production that Mike and Betsy, our operations lead, has championed, we'll be able to get that. So I think the future is pretty bright for that First Defense product line, despite the fact that we've had such a good run so far.
What is it about that product line that the dairy producers like so much? It's grown consistently. What is it? What needs does it actually meet for those customers of yours out there?
Yeah, so you're probably going to hear a different talking point from each one of the folks on my team because there's a lot of things. I'll say from my perspective, what I love is that we're removing the variability that comes with using a vaccine to prevent scours, right? So vaccine technology is the traditional tool to prevent scours. These are products that were developed in the 70s, right? And they are highly variable based on the animal's ability to respond to that vaccine. And some animals will not respond to a vaccine. So those animals that don't respond to the vaccine would then be vectors of disease for their herd mates and basically contaminating the environment and creating a higher bar of pathogen pressure for their herd mates. We remove that variability and standardize to a guaranteed dose of immediate immunity for every calf. So every calf is equally protected. That's where I think the cool advantages for the First Defense line. But like I say, you should ask that same question to everybody else because I know they'll have another talking point.
Sure. You've added some new people, particularly Dr. Lichty, Dr. Westenberg. Dr. Lichty, where are you in this process? What's your role, and how do you see that developing as we continue to move forward?
Yeah, sure. So my role officially is that I'm the commercial research and technical services veterinarian for ImmuCell, and I came on a little over 6 months ago. And really, I'm helping to bring the new product to market, retain, and set up a lot of the studies that we need to really show how well it works in a producer setting. But then I also support the First Defense line, both with upcoming research projects, but then also just explaining the science behind the product. Because like Bobby said, it is a very unique product. Not everybody completely understands how it works, but people that have used it see an immediate effect on overall calf health. So to some extent, it's just get them over the hump to give it a try, because once they do, we seem to have really good retention of customers with it because of its efficacy.
Yeah, it seems that you and Mark have a big job here in terms of getting this product out there and getting people excited about the possibilities. Mark, Tell me about your role in this, and what do you have to do to make this work?
Well, so I'm relatively new to the group. And I guess, first of all, I'd say it's exciting to be working with a group of people that are as motivated and as focused as Bobby's team out in the field. Like Rafael, I am there to provide technical support and help answer questions. I have experience both on the dairy side as a veterinarian, but then also as an executive on the food processing side. And so I think that's part of the perspective that I bring, particularly from the retained product side, to work with the processors in terms of acceptance of the product as that comes to market.
And Kathy, Bobby says that you're kind of the glue that holds this whole group together. Can you tell us about the launch for Retain, how that's going to come about? How do you see that coming together here in the next few quarters and maybe the next year out?
Hey, you bet. First of all, I'd just like to say how exciting it is to be part of a new product category launch. It's every marketer's dream to be the leader in a new category. We can kind of set the ground rules for that, and which isn't an easy task. It's hard. It's an uphill battle, but we're used to hard. We have a sales team of 8 that cover domestic and international sales, and we're effective and efficient. And so it's really easy to be the glue that holds us all together because we just have such a great team. So we're really excited to get going and bring this to market.
Yeah. Bobby, you now have a more complete team than you've had since day one. How do you see utilizing this group? What do you have to do to truly get this new product embedded into the market going forward?
Yeah, well, we're definitely bigger than we were. I still refer to us as the David amongst pharmaceutical Goliaths, right? So there's still a lot of heavy lifting for just a few people, but we have some incredible talent on the team. So the plan I have for Retain, to break it down real simple, we know the sales and marketing recipe for success for First Defense. We've been selling that product for a number of years. We've been able to test and tweak that recipe and transfer that recipe knowledge onto our sales team so they can be very efficient in that sales process. We don't know that sales and marketing recipe for Retain. And you can't truly know that recipe until you get the product out into the market, and we can't get the product into the market until we have FDA approval. So our plan is to do a very controlled launch, which is focus on exceptional customer experiences with this new product, rather than haphazardly selling every dose we can possibly get. We want to retain those customers. We want them to have an exceptional customer experience, and we want to make sure those early adapters are singing our praises to the rest of the market when we do a full mass market launch. So having these veterinarians and Rafael and Mark on staff are pretty key because they understand, they both practiced veterinary medicine. They are very familiar on farm, so they can see some of those potholes before we hit them, right? And so they're key players, and then Kathy from the marketing side. So we get this out, we do the controlled launch, we listen to the marketplace and what they're telling us and what some of those early adapters are experiencing. We then tweak that recipe, and then once it's perfected, hand it off to our field team, who's really good at carrying that message forward and replicating those experiences at a faster pace. But we really want to put our sales team in a position to succeed, which is why we're doing this controlled launch.
And as it relates to Retain, it's still in the FDA approval process, but it is very different from whatever competitive products are out there. Tell us about those differences. Tell us why these are competitive advantages for you going forward, potentially.
So I could answer that question, but I think the audience might rather hear from our DVMs on that answer. If I can defer to you guys, I mean, I don't want to take the spotlight here all from these guys. So Rafael, why don't you tell us why you think Retain's going to have such a unique impact on the industry?
Absolutely. Yeah, Retain, I really believe, is going to redefine how we approach treating mastitis in dairy cattle, because it's an intramammary treatment that does not have a meat or milk withhold, and it is labeled for subclinical mastitis, which is very important because we basically intervene at the time where there's still no clinical signs of mastitis, so we can detect them earlier, treat them earlier, and therefore really prevent a clinical disease from happening. When we do that, because we don't have a meat or milk withhold with that, we really do the right thing by the cow, because we can intervene earlier and take care of her more proactively. We can also really benefit the farm because we don't have to throw away valuable milk for the farm. And we're actually also really doing a great thing for overall the consumer, because the active ingredient in Retain is niacin A, which is something that does not get used in human medicine at all, and so therefore doesn't pose any risk to human health or contributes to overall antibiotic resistance that has been talked about a lot over the last few years. So I feel with that package, we can really change how we're looking at mastitis now much earlier, because we have a tool that we can intervene earlier that makes economic sense and also really benefits the overall health of the herd.
Hey, Mark, do you mind dovetailing into that with your perception of how that'll impact the industry?
No, I think that's a good description, but I would just add that from my experience on the food processing side, the active product niacin A is actually widely used as a food additive to control microbial growth on the food side. So it's already something that is widely accepted by the human population, basically. I think also, one of the things we really are focused on in the dairy industry is trying to figure out how to lower antibiotic use, particularly antibiotics that are ones that have human significance. And this product is totally unrelated to any of those products. So the risk of creating antibiotic resistance is much lower, or basically non-existent, compared to the current strategies that we're using for treating mastitis. So to me, it's just totally unique from that standpoint.
So Joe, we're basically going to change the way the industry is treating mastitis. So instead of what they're doing right now, which is treating it at the clinical stage, which is already crisis mode, a lot of long-term damage has already been done. We're going to move that treatment time earlier in the subclinical stage, and that's going to net back more profit to the producer. And we're doing it with a product with an active ingredient like Mark indicated, which is really widely used on the food preservative side. Now, the difference with our niacin, though, is and I got to give our product development team kudos here. They have figured out a way to purify that niacin to pharmaceutical grade. So that's what makes it so different from what's being used in the food preservative side. I mean, we've got 90+% purity of this active ingredient, and that's why we can introduce it into the teat canal, kill the bacteria without causing any inflammation to those tissues.
Kathy, given that we're still in the FDA approval process with Retain, hopefully in the next handful of months we'll be much closer. Can you and Bobby both talk about, once you get that approval, let's talk about the strategic principles of rolling this product out in kind of a controlled manner. Can you give us a sense of how you expect to do that?
Well, I don't know, Bobby, you want to speak to it first, because we're not going to be initiating right away until after the controlled launch.
Yeah, I'll speak to at least one of the areas that Kathy spent a lot of work investigating is basically that people care about new product categories. They don't necessarily care about new brands, right? And we're going to create a whole new product category here with Retain because it is so different. It's the first ever intramammary treatment without a milk or a meat discard, right? It really suits itself very, very well to that space, and we're going to own that space because we're the only one. And that's where Kathy does her best work. When I give her a blank palette like that, she can really do some very creative marketing around that. Now, the challenge with that is I'm not going to turn her loose and let her mass market right off the bat, right? Because we do want to control this and just have the discipline to focus on really listening to what the farm is telling us from an efficacy standpoint, from an application standpoint, how they're responding to some of our marketing messages and that type of thing. So she'll be very, as Kathy does, she's a great questioner and a great listener. And that's what she's going to be doing during this controlled launch. So then she can sit back and tweak that marketing recipe anyway before we get out to mass market. Kathy, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, and I would just say being the first in this space gives us the advantage where we can be the leader in that category. So we can use our key fundamental, our position can be what sets that category. And so we're really looking forward to being at that ground level of setting what that is.
Michael, coming back to the boss here, let's talk about manufacturing capacity, the ability to pull this product together, have it out there. Tell us about what's been going on in First Offense, but also how Retain is going to come together from a manufacturing and production standpoint.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Joe. I'm really comfortable talking about capacity as something we look at every day, every week, and especially lately being on backlog with First Offense very actively. So in a quick nutshell, the First Offense capacity just a few short years ago was like 16.5 million per year. So just now, fourth quarter into first quarter this year, we've stepped up to the first, what I call first phase, 23 million annual capacity. And by year end, we're going to be in the 30 to 35 million. So it's been a long process, expensive process, but really productive investment to double that capacity from 16.5 to up to 35. So First Offense is right on track with that plan. Retain, a little bit different, but we do know the capacity of the plant we built was one of the key late development steps in that regulatory process was to take on the manufacturing ourselves rather than put it through a CMO or partner it out. So we built our own plant, and that plant at the start on regulatory approval, commercial launch, we'll be able to produce a little bit north of $10 million worth of product per year. So we'll start there.
Rafael, switching back to the DVM part of this business, you've joined a very small company here. What is the attraction? What are the great possibilities that you see here?
Sure. Yeah. So, to me, I like change overall, right? So for me to bring a new market that will change the dairy industry really for the better is very, very attractive. To be part of that launch and kind of build the message, and also how do you implement this and how does really everybody benefit at the end. That's super exciting for me to be part of. Also, small teams, and I've worked for very large corporations before, but small teams is where all the action happens when it comes right down to it, because there's way more open collaboration, there's much less red tape, and you can really kind of see the fruit of your own labor a lot quicker than if you're in like this huge machine. So you end up wearing more hats, you end up probably going on more trips, you end up learning dramatically more in a small team, I think. And so to me, I guess the question is more, why wouldn't you want to be part of that, right?
Sure. And Mark, I'd ask you the same question. What could you add or change from that?
Well, I would just reinforce what Rafael said, but the difference with me is I came out of semi-retirement to come back and actually engage with this. So I just was really attracted by the concept of the uniqueness of the products that they're talking about, and then again, just with the personal interaction with the folks in the group here. So yeah, it's exciting to be asked to participate.
And just to brag on Mark a little bit, he's very humble, but he brings a ton of experience, not just on the veterinary side, but also on the business side. And so he's very quickly becoming kind of the mentor to this core group. So we're very blessed and happy that we have him.
That's great. Bobby,
I'm so glad I twisted his arm to come out of retirement.
Well, it seems like you've got a great team here with you. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you see ahead from a sales and marketing perspective. What has to happen for these products to get more fully embedded in your markets?
Well, that's a downer to go to the negatives, but we can go there. I mean, the reality is when we have the supply online that we've been anticipating and waiting for, that's half the battle, right? We've had an extended backlog situation, right? So just because we catch up and that backlog list goes away, that's only half the battle. We have to go back and get those lost customers. We've got to regain confidence, not only in our sales team, but our whole distribution team, right? That we can supply them, bring on the new customers. And that doesn't happen overnight, right? That's going to take some time. And they're really going to say, well, that's nice. You can tell me all you want to tell me, but prove it. And so we've got to deliver consistently. But the supply expansion will allow us to do that. So rebounding from backlog is something I talk about a lot with my team, and we want to rebound quick. That's where having a sales process that's very proven and works well is good. Having Kathy pull out some marketing rabbits from her hat that get that messaging out there really quickly and efficiently is going to be key.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great conversation. We're going to have to leave it there. I'd like to thank Michael, Bobby, and the entire ImmuCell team for sharing their perspectives relating to the dairy industry and the company's leading edge products. We greatly appreciate all your time and expertise. To all of you listening in the investment community, anyone out there that has not already signed up for one-on-one meetings with ImmuCell, please visit the Lytham Partners website at lythampartners.com/virtual and click the one-on-one meeting request button. We hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.